Hello and welcome to another episode of Swim Sets by the Pool. This is the podcast where you get free swim workouts and tips on how to swim better from two pro triathletes. My name's Nathan Cohen. With me, as always, is the Greg Harper. Greg, that mustache, man, is looking pretty good. I'm jealous, not gonna lie.
Well, thank you. I just was back in Mexico, and when they were there, everyone had shaved mustaches. So I thought, hey, let me join the party.
Nice.
Does my fiance like it? I'm not sure. Does my sister make say I look weird? Yes, but things you do to look good for yourself.
You know,
Um,
it's all good, man.
we're out here looking at another swim set. Like Nate said, I'm Greg Harper, pro triathlete, and we just want to bring you some good swim advice today. But how are you doing, Nate? How was you had a little race recently? How did that go?
Yeah, so I did Triton Man. For those of you who don't know, that's like a classic Southern California race. It's like in San Diego, which is the OG spot where triathlon began, supposedly.
Fiesta Island.
Yeah, so it it was good, honestly. So pretty much they canceled the swim because it was too cold, which Greg has some thoughts on. I don't know how I think about it, but I just that happened to be Ironman Canada too, so maybe it's me. I don't know. But still had a good race. It was a duathlon, run bike run, got on the podium in third. Two guys ran faster than me, nothing you can do about that. But I had a solid race. Fastest transitions, both of them in the whole race by a lot.
I saw your T2 transition. You were like literally in your shoes running out, and basically no one had racked their bike yet.
Yeah.
And my buddy, the Victor, the Cal kid,
Hmm.
and I guess he maybe like tried to even attack a little bit on the bike. Like he's a good bike cyclist, but he
Yeah.
came in last into T2. So it's just those little things. I mean, your experience and stuff, and some of the
Yeah.
college kids aren't quite as honed in, but you
Dude,
really, I
yeah.
think you made him. I think you were gonna make him practice his transition. So thank you. Maybe he'll thank you at College Nats if he does well there because
Yeah,
you
I hope
you
so.
spanked him, dude.
Yeah, dude. Well, so Victor actually ran 10 seconds faster than me in the last 5K, but my T2 I think was 12 seconds faster than him.
Yeah.
So that just goes to show you. But he's a good athlete. I just told him after the race, I'm like, you gotta you gotta think about it. Like you gotta think about what you're gonna do in transition, like and have a plan, you know? Like that's one of
Yeah.
the things that's so in your control, like how you place your shoes, how you like set everything up. And I'll give you guys my secret and then we'll get on to the swimming stuff. But essentially we do 3 laps around Fiesta Island in this course, and there's like a dog leg connection. And I knew everyone's gonna attack right on that little turn. It's like 800 meters to go. I know every year everyone always does that. So I'm like, I'm just gonna unstrap my shoes before that. So like I just unstrapped my shoes. I was ready to go. Everyone started launching their
Mm.
attacks, and then 400 meters to go, they were like, "Oh shoot, there's the dismount line. I gotta start unstrapping." So they just lost all their momentum. I went past them. I did like 900 watts, but that's like not that much for a couple seconds. I went past them and just easily like came into T2 in first because I'd already unstrapped my shoes and it was super easy. But yeah,
That's good recon, dude. Yeah,
yeah, yeah.
that's smart. Wow, wise words.
So,
Yeah,
anyways,
canceled swim though. That sucks.
okay, what do you
You,
think is too cold to swim? This is like kind of relevant to the pod. Like, what is too cold to swim?
I mean, I guess it's the water with the air is what they said too, right?
Hmm.
So it was
It was
like,
cold in there. It was like 50 degrees.
yeah, it was 50 degrees. So allegedly, all the locals that week had measured at 58, and then USAT measured 55 degrees in the water. So it's like, dude, you also need to measure in different, like, who's
Hmm.
measuring this? And it's like,
Yeah, I don't know.
I've seen this before. USAT officials on like power trips, and some of these people are like, honestly, they're kind of dicks, and like, they like to control the show. And you might get a great official, but some of them aren't. And if they're like on a power trip, like, no, we're canceling the swim, it's like, dude, all they're college kids, like a lot of them,
Hmm.
like they'll be fine. It's January, yeah, it's a little cold, but I mean, if the water temp's in the 40s or something, but look, if it's in mid 50s to 50 and it's like it's not freezing out, it's like 50 degrees, it's like,
Hmm.
come on. Like you go hard, you produce heat, you will warm up a little bit, and
Yeah.
it's got to be so cold for you to can't for them to cancel. Or there would be no swims if, the
Yeah.
college racing season's January, February, March. It's cold. There wouldn't be
Hmm.
any swims if you followed these rules like pound for pound. I don't
Also,
know.
it's a sprint triathlon. The whole swim course is just literally the furthest you could be from the shore is like 20 meters or like 25 meters because it's just like a kind of out and back thing. So they're swimming for 10 to 15 minutes. If they really get that cold, they could just like swim a couple feet over and stand up, and then they're safe,
And get out.
and
Yeah.
get out. So it's like, and I think I get it, race directors and like USAT officials, they like don't want people to die because like that happens in triathlon, people die in the swim. But I think people who sign up for the races need to take a little more responsibility and be like, you know what? These conditions probably aren't good for the ability level that I have. I'm just
Yeah.
not gonna do the swim or something. Or it's like I think people need to be more honest with themselves. Like in the ultra running world, like at some races, they literally have this like repeat after me speech. It's like, if you die out there, it's your fault. And then everyone has to say, if I die during the race, it's my fault. If I get eaten by a bear, it's my fault. It's like people got to take responsibility for themselves.
Yeah, and one more thing on that, like Otillo or Otillo, what those like swim run
Hmm.
races that's born in Sweden. I mean, tons of those races are low 50 degrees,
Hmm.
and you're swimming a bunch of times. So you're sometimes in the water for up to 2 hours in a 4 hour event. Like
Hmm.
you prepare like that's so for a 10-minute swim for like 55, maybe it was 58 degrees. It's like, come on, man. Triathlon is it's trending that way, unfortunately. And we get it.
Yeah.
There's other factors at play, but anyway, I guess let's talk about a swim set and a more happier note.
Yeah.
But
Yeah. Wait.
I could
Okay.
just
Give us.
rant on that
I know.
forever.
Okay. Sorry, guys.
Oh yeah,
You
quick
had
tip of the
to,
day, right?
yeah. Quick tip.
So my quick tip is, and I've seen a lot of triathletes who enter the water and their hand kind of comes in front of their face, you know?
Hmm.
So it's a hard thing to unlearn, but one cue I think that's important is like swimming on train tracks or like
Hmm.
Superman, where your arm is extended just straight out from your shoulder, um, and making sure when you enter, you don't want your hand to be crossing in front of your face, because that can actually create problems down the chain too. Like your hips might get out of whack if it starts if you're crossing over at the front, and stuff can happen in the back of your stroke. So kind of swim like train tracks and making sure that we're not, we want to be crazy wide, but if you're already crossing over, you have to think Y position, which is hands way out, and then you might swim in the correct position. So just be aware of that, and that's a kind of a good cue, that I don't know, I think works for some people.
Yeah. Yeah. And also, you have that big line at the bottom of the pool. You can look down at that and like try and visualize that coming up all the way to your body and not having your arm cross over that line
Yeah,
too. That's something
that's a
that
good one.
that is helpful for that. So yeah, that's a great tip, Greg. So yeah, we got a set. I think this one's from the Ventura pool. One of the locals out here always printing off some swim sets for us. And yeah, starts with 300 swim warm up and then 1 by 200 drill swim by 50, and it says 15 seconds rest, but we'll probably just do it on whatever you feel like.
Whatever.
You already know at this point. You guys already know. And then 100 kick, which that's cool. And then 4 by 50 free DPS, which means distance per stroke. That's a pretty good warm up, honestly. I like that.
Yeah, I like it too. A couple, we've said this before, a few drill like suggestions, like, hey, one
Hmm.
arm, hey, underwater recovery. I think that's good because, if you hand this to a triathlete, they might be like, I actually don't know any drills or something,
Hmm.
right? So I think just a little more context on the drill. But yeah, I think that's good. I've been doing a little more kick and warm up. I think it's good to kind of activate, and even some
Hmm.
kicking on the back, my back a little bit, and distance per stroke. We always love it. It's definitely a
Yeah.
good tool.
Yeah, for sure. And another thing is, if you guys don't follow Mark Dubrick, aka Mark the Shark, on Instagram, he posted a reel the other day, I think, of him sculling in like three different ways. And it was really
Mm.
cool. Like, I found that really helpful. If you guys don't know, Mark is like almost as fast as Greg. He was like right behind him out of the water at Worlds. So, also a really good swimmer. But
And
yeah,
my and my teammate, I was there when he filmed that reel.
yeah.
Um, yeah, and a great swim. Yeah, and sculling too. We always love that. All right,
Yeah.
so the set, we get into it. It's some people call these shotguns. People, where you take an interval and then you half it, and it keeps getting half. So it's a 400, two 200s, four 100s, eight 50s. and then it's 100 easy. So each little chunk is 400 yards, but
Mm,
the intervals shorten. And I actually really like how it's written. It says, it says 400 freeze distance per stroke, and it says know your time, use the clock, and then 2 200s and just a little bit better than the 400 speed. Okay, great.
hmm.
You're using that clock again. 4 100s faster than the 200s. And then the 850s, it says, yeah, hold time. So just kind of hold that same pace. And
Hmm.
it's kind of a little cut down. And I've done a set just like this before. And yeah, I think it's written well.
Yeah, the thing that immediately stands out to me about this set that I like is it says know your time, and what it doesn't say is swim this time. You have to hit this time or you're a loser. If you don't hit this time, you might as well quit swimming. You're not that good anyways. It doesn't say any of those things. It says just know your time. And that's so good because it sets you up for success for this set because you're just hitting where you're at, you know? You're swimming that first 400. This is where you're at today. And then it's just a two 200s. So you can go a little faster, you know? And then on the hundreds, you can go a little faster. You're like, oh, it's just 100. Like, no big deal. And I really like that because honestly, I think a lot of people are too hard on themselves in the wrong ways in swimming. Like so many of my friends who like are not bad like athletes or triathletes or swimmers or whatever, they're like, "Oh, I'm such a slow swimmer," or like whatever. And it's like you're not going to get anywhere with that like attitude, you know? So, that's what I like about this set and I just want to encourage you guys like do not set crazy expectations for yourself when you go into these swim workouts. Don't have like these time goals in mind before you even start, you know? Just see where you're at that day and just work with it, you know? Like work with what you have on the day, you know? There's a lot of
Yeah, and
factors.
that's how you get better. It's like it's about the effort. So in this
Hmm.
set, yeah, you start like kind of easy, steadier, and then you work down, and then you go a little faster at the end, and that's it.
Hmm.
That's as complicated as it needs to be. And then you might surprise yourself. I mean, if you have this notion, oh, this 400 needs to be this pace, and it's not quite, and then you kind of get in a bad headspace. But if you kind of toss that all aside, then all of a sudden, maybe on the 50s, you're like, wow, I feel way better than I thought I did, and you surprise yourself, and things can happen. So yeah, I really like that. It's you got to be in that right. We talk about mindset a lot, and it really
Hmm.
you got to enjoy yourself. It's got to feel relaxing and meditative state in the pool. It is important. So yeah, I like that little thought you had.
Yeah, what
Um,
kind of rest do you think you should be doing for these? Like start with a little more and then cut down the rest as the intervals get shorter, or what are you thinking?
yeah, I would say from the intervals base, I feel like 10 seconds per 100 of
Mm.
distance is like a decent like after the 400, maybe you take 30 to 40 seconds, right? And after the 200s, you're doing 15 to 20 seconds. On the hundreds, you're kind of doing 10 seconds ish rest. And
Hmm.
maybe the 50s, you stay the same.
Yeah.
Um, yeah, I mean, it says 20 rest, 20 rest, 20 rest. There are intervals too. So it's kind of like a base type interval, I would think.
Hmm.
Something you do a lot of your aerobic work at that type of interval.
Yeah. And for those of you who are like getting a little newer to swimming, how you kind of figure out that rest is like enough to where enough rest to where you're not like gassed going into it, but not so much to where you're like starting to get cold and you're just like, oh, what am I doing on the wall? Like, just
Completely
like,
fresh again.
yeah,
Yeah.
completely. Like you want to accumulate a little bit of fatigue, and it's just like that little bit of rest. We talk about this sometimes. It's amazing how fast you can get rid of like that like tired feeling in your arms with like 10 or 15 seconds rest. It's pretty incredible.
Yeah, and if you do this at you swim the 400, like that was a good effort, and you're supposed to rest 30 or 40, and then at like 15 seconds, you're like, feel kind of ready again. Yeah, then do 20 seconds rest, right? It's like
Yeah.
there's no perfect formula. Some aerobic days I'll take a little more rest, and some I'll do like, oh, I'm feeling good. Like I'm doing 5 seconds rest on 200, which sounds like literally nothing, but like you said, you kind of go with the effort of the day. As
Hmm.
long as you're not taking minute rest between intervals that aren't super long, like so you can kind of keep your aerobic, engine
Hmm.
going. But yeah.
Yeah, cool. And then there's a second part to this set. It's two times 100 as 25 swim strong and then 75 kick build, which is kind of interesting. So a little 25 swim into 75 kick. Probably no board, I would imagine, maybe on your back or something like that. And then 4 times 50 choice DPS. Ascend what? Ascend? Who says that?
Yeah.
1 through 4? What?
Yeah. Yeah. I've seen that. Well, okay, then it goes into 425's drill and then 100 smooth and it's a
Yeah.
cooldown. Yeah, the ascending thing, I've seen coaches do this before. Like you don't need to purposely get slower. Like if you're
Yeah.
doing distance per if this is like a warm down, just be like 450 distance per stroke easy. It's you
Yeah.
don't need to ascend. Like
Hmm.
it's just yeah, I don't I've seen this written before and I'm like, I've never
Mm.
seen that's just not the way to think about it, I don't think.
Yeah. Yeah. Yeah, I agree. I would just do 450s DPS, just aerobic, easy. Yeah.
And it is, I mean, it says cooldown at the end. It's kind of weird because this last set kind of seems like a cooldown. I mean, the 450's DPS ascend 1 to 4.
Hmm.
That seems like, and then 25's drill, 100 smooth. It is a weird little set at the end.
Yeah.
Um, but it's not like anything too crazy. And then you cool down. I kind of like the swim strong into the kick build. It's just different.
Hmm.
Usually you don't swim into kick. A lot of people do kick swim. So I don't know, changing it up.
I
It's nothing like I think it works. It's not like I probably wouldn't write a set like this, but now that it's there, it's like all right, try something new, I guess.
Yeah, so those 450s just DPS, just swim smooth on those. And then actually I think this is one thing I think Greg wrote on a set and then I did it and I was like, "Oh, that was kind of fun." And it was 425s no breath. And it was like
Oh
at the
yeah.
end of a set. I would do that instead of drill because you got that drill at the beginning. So it's like I like to challenge myself with I think doing no breathers are fun. Maybe I'm crazy or whatever. I like to do them, mix them up, sometimes do them underwater, like with fins, and just do like a dolphin kick and just focus on like a
hmm
really tight streamline. Or you could do them swimming on top, or you can even just see how far you get underwater. Just do as many dolphin kicks as you can until you can't anymore. So what do you think about that? 425s, no
Yeah.
breathers?
I like that a lot. And no breathers can be a way to cool down because essentially you're like you really have to calm yourself and calm your breathing. And it's like maybe if it's not super easy for you, it won't be quite warm down, but it's like you kind of everything slows down. You have to do nice long strokes, kind of like relax the legs. So it can be kind of a calming, warm down type of thing. And you've already done some swimming that's hard, so your lungs should be awake. And yeah, I think it can be a good tool to measure efficiency as well. Even if you do something hard and then try to do some no breath, it's hard, but it's a way to yeah, kind of measure your efficiency. And I like it in any scenario. Warm up in the middle of a hard set or, as cool down.
Yeah.
So I think that's
I
a good
think
choice for
I
sure.
think we should also change that last 100 to maybe just like kick with the board, just like social kick. I like
Yeah.
that. I've been doing that with
I
my
mean,
buddy Thomas. We've been doing some swim sessions together, and we usually do like 100 kick and then 100 swim, like at the warm down, and we just like chat for like that 100, and it's just like a good
yeah.
debrief.
I mean, yeah, 100 smooth and then you're cool and it's like whatever. Yeah. 100 social kick, I like a
Hmm.
lot too. Yeah, you could say you kind of debrief about the set.
Yeah, yeah.
And Social Kick is a big swimming podcast. Have you ever listened to that?
No, I have it. Dude, I gotta
Oh, you
check
should
that
check it
out.
out. Yeah, one of my buddies is like the host. It's massive. I mean, they have all the best
Hmm.
swimmers on the. They'll talk about sets. These two. If anyone wants to hear about sets, that will be like, wow, I thought I
Oh,
was
actually, I
okay at
think I've seen like
swimming.
some of their reels on like Instagram or whatever. One girl was
Yeah.
like, they're like, "Hey, what do you think you could do 100 100s on?" She's
Oh,
like,
I
"I
just
could."
saw that
She's
one.
like, "I could probably do 56 on like
I
110,"
know.
and I'm just
I was
like,
like, I mean, she's one of the best swimmers in the world. Yeah, I'm out here like
"Yeah."
swimming 59s today. I'm like, heck yeah. And then I realized that, yeah, someone could do 100 of them at
Yeah,
56.
some 21-year-old
Anyway.
girls like doing 56. Yeah. Yeah, whenever I like think I'm fast, I'm just remind myself Kyle swims 51 for 100 breast.
Yeah,
I'm
right. You're
just
like,
like, oh.
yeah, the different levels of it are crazy.
Yeah.
Um, well, I guess that's kind of it for the set. Oh wait, no, you're on the hot take today.
Yeah, yeah. So this kind of ties in with them canceling the swim at Triton Man for the water being too cold. But The swim is supposed to be hard, and the way to make it less hard is to prepare properly for it. It's like if you know you're doing a race, and even like Oceanside, for example, like probably some of you guys listening are going to be doing Oceanside. Oceanside is gonna be cold. It always is. It always has been. Like you think Southern California, you think warm. Nah, the water's going to be cold. It's going to be uncomfortable. So prepare yourself for that. Like, you know, it's going to be hard. If you don't prepare, you're just like, you got a whole other, you got the bike and the run to do after that. So you don't want to wreck your race before it really even starts, you know? So that's kind of my take. That's my little 30-second thing. The swim's hard, guys. Just be prepared for
Yeah.
it. It'll be less hard.
Well, and if it is cold, there's always the neoprene cap,
Yeah.
which you can wear. I mean, there's things you can do to
Yeah.
that actually makes a big difference on your ear. So if you're that's kind of an extra little tip. If you are nervous about a cold swim,
Hmm.
getting one of those thick thermal caps will make a big difference because your head is a lot of shock. So I've worn them before in Alcatraz and I let out
Hmm.
the water. So yeah.
Nice. Yeah,
It's
I
cool. It's not nerdy. I mean,
it's
it is a
not
little
nerdy.
nerdy, but
Dude, if it's
it's
cold, if the
okay.
water is like sub 60, friggin' wear that. I wear a neoprene cap. I
Yeah,
actually like,
sub
there's no
60 is kind
shame.
of that ballpark, I think, for sure.
Yeah. Anyways, thank you guys for listening to the podcast. I hope you guys enjoyed this episode. If you want to subscribe to our YouTube channel, we post the videos up on there and on all our platforms, Spotify, Apple. You just go to the show notes, you guys, screenshot this workout, and then do it with your friends. Anyways, see you guys later, and yeah, keep swimming.
Keep swimming. Later.